Session, study session Monday, February 4th, 2019. Please turn off your cell phones, silence them during the meeting. And Mr. Mingo, if you would call the roll.
Councilmember Reed?
Yes.
Here. Brown?
Here.
Lawler?
Here.
Spicer?
Here.
Williamson?
Here.
And Mayor Atchison?
Here. Okay. And I just like to remind council, I've had a couple people contact me and ask if we could make sure that all of our council members and of course the candidates make sure you're speaking into the mic. They're having problems hearing it when they watch the live stream, so if we could make a little effort to do that, that'd be great, and I thank you. Okay. So the first item this evening is Precinct 1 candidate interviews. Mr. Spratley, I've been notified, has withdrawn his application. So what we'll do is we'll start with Mr. Warnsley, and if the other candidates will, your office? Okay. If the other candidates will wait patiently in the city clerk's office, I appreciate that. Okay. We'll go around and each council member will ask a question. We'll listen very attentively to your answers. So, Councilmember Reed, if you would like to begin with your first question or your question.
Are we going from number 1 down?
Well, each council member is going to ask a question, mindful of the time and whatnot, and making sure that we give each candidate ample opportunity to answer that question. And I think what we discussed before was we'd each ask a question. So, and I would strongly encourage every council member, let's make this consistent for everybody. So whatever question you decide to ask, stick with that through this. Make sure everybody gets the same questions.
How are you?
Really good. How about yourself?
Good. What makes being an Albion City Council person something that you wish to do?
So for me, I think that, being born and raised in Albion, I've had the ability to cross paths with many individuals, and a lot of them have given me a wealth of knowledge, mentored me, taken me under their wing, and entrusted in me to do great things. And I want to ensure that I'm able to leave those same type of resources and opportunities for the youth that come after me, and then also ensure the elders that have given me that responsibility that they are leaving the torch in the right hands. And I believe that I have the ability to lead Albion in the right direction.
Attorney Hartnett, are you prepared to give a quick, brief summary of the rental certification?
Sure.
Okay. Could you do that, please?
Sure. So one of the things that's being discussed in the city for possible adoption is a rental certification program, which in a nutshell would require all the rental properties in Michigan to register with the city. It would set forth various standards that rental properties have to be kept at, schedules for fees and inspections and things of that nature on an annual or semi-annual basis.
And even though you said all properties in Michigan, you meant all properties in Albion.
I'm sorry, in Albion, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
So my question, Mr. Warnsley, please discuss the pros and cons of rental certification as it relates to Albion.
An immediate pro would be that the inspections would be being done on a regular basis, so we know that all of the apartments would be up to code. Immediate con sounds like there are some fees that are going to be attached to that. So I would have to, I guess, me personally, meet with some of the housing owners, renters, and just see, I guess, sort of where they are with things and figure out if it would be something that would be best for Albion to go forward with.
Thank you.
Councilmember Spicer.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Wormsley.
Good evening.
What will you do to help the residents rejuvenate the usage of McIntosh Park?
Thank you. I love that question because I really believe that we definitely need to refurbish, rejuvenate, rebeautify McIntosh Park. The same way that a lot of effort was put into Highland Park, and the same way that a lot of effort was put into Victory Park. I would do just about whatever it takes to encourage, to work alongside with the residents in Precinct 1 as well as Albion, to make sure that it's top of priority, because we definitely need some love and care in that area of Precinct 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Williamson.
The question I wanted to ask tonight was, what will you do to bring the city council together?
Well, I'm not sure. It was difficult in preparation for this interview because, I think anybody could come up with a poetically put and elegantly stated political campaign to appeal to your ears. The truth of the matter is, I want to appeal to the real, and the real again is that Albion played a really vital part in me becoming the man that I am today, and I want to make sure that I can give back to Albion in that sense. And so, to answer your question, when it comes to politics and the political parade that is taking place, it's really disheartening, right? Because again, it's like, as a youth growing up, you don't expect it to be this way. I guess just to be 100% transparent, I invited individuals to come out and publicly support me, and it was disheartening for them to say, well, maybe we shouldn't come out and do that for you because it may look bad in the eyes of council. And it's like, well, you guys help mentor me. You guys help give me knowledge. I look up to you guys, and I can't even have you here to support me. You know what I mean? So for me, I hope that we can put aside whatever differences that we have and help move Albion in the right direction, because that's what we really need in a very important time.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Lawler, I apologize.
Thank you. One of the things that I've seen out in the community is the broken communication with Precinct 1 and the Housing Commission. So my question is, what are your plans to help the residents with the broken communication with the Housing Commission, and to help them enforce their right to be treated fairly if they should express concerns with their council person?
I want to operate within like a open door, always on phone type policy. Get myself out in the community as much as I can to communicate with the constituents within Precinct 1, and give them an opportunity to be heard. I think that we should definitely engage in town hall meetings on a regular basis, as frequent as we can, so residents can come out, ask questions, address their concerns, and I can figure out what I can do to help alleviate whatever issues that they're having.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Warrensley. My question, I'm sorry.
Good evening.
I didn't mean to cut you off. What have you already done for Precinct 1, and what will you do in the next 12 months to build your vision for Precinct 1?
So, I think within Precinct 1, what I've done within Precinct 1 could scale back all the way to me being a young child and putting forth effort to shoveling snow, to mowing lawns, to taking out trash, collecting cans, to all the way to now where I take kids around the precinct to do those things. I would love to continue to engage the youth within Precinct 1, whether that be recreationally, academically, professionally. And just give back to the community again, like I said, that helped create the young man that I am today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Does any council member need a clarification on an answer? If not, we'll. Okay. Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Warrensley. I appreciate it. if you would, well, I guess there's no reason with you sitting here, because that's fine. Please feel free to stay here. Who's the next?
Thank you all.
I'm sorry? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I can't hear you.
Who's being
Thank you.
It's okay with the council. I would like to give a short bio. If that's okay.
Certainly.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Each council member get a copy? Oh, sorry. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I think I have a question number one.
Okay.
How are you? What makes being an Albion City Council person something that you would wish to be?
It gives me an opportunity to give back to Albion. I've been involved in a lot of opportunities to volunteer, and I've wanted to volunteer for Albion, but this is the first time that I actually have an opportunity to get directly involved. I know I said before in my 2 or 3 minute speech that Albion means a lot to me. I've raised all of my children here. My husband was born and raised here. I've been here for over 40 years. And it's given me a safe environment in which to raise all of my children. I've got 5 children. And I thank God that they all turned out well. And part of it was because Albion was a safe environment. You know, it was a place where I like walking and going out and doing things. And sometimes I go by myself. I've never had to worry about my safety. My children don't have to worry about theirs. They all came up to the public school system. I thought it's given me an opportunity to give back to the city, because the city really has been a blessing to me in so many different ways, on so many levels.
I have the second question. Attorney Hartman, could you briefly explain rental certification, please?
Sure. So Ms. Thomas, there's a program that's being considered by the city for rental registration and certification for rental properties in the city. And so in short, rental properties in the city would have to register with the city. They'd be subject to annual fees for inspections. There are certain standards and criteria that rental properties would have to meet in order to receive their annual certification or biannual certification, or whatever the time period may be. Mm-hmm. But that's, in a nutshell, what the program would be.
So my question, Mrs. Thomas, please discuss the pros and cons of rental certification as it relates to Albion.
As it relates to Albion, I'm actually glad to hear about that, because I personally know some people who live in rental properties, and because there are no standards, because there's no accountability, some of the landlords kind of take a license and they do things that I consider to be kind of unconscionable. So if there are ordinances, if there are laws that are going to require the landlords to maintain their properties, to make sure that the people who move into those properties have a clean and a safe and well-functioning home, you know, for themselves or for their families, I'm definitely all for it. On the con side, because I'm really like, yes. But on the con side, sometimes there can be rules and regulations that are imposed upon people or businesses that will cause them to be under maybe financial duress. And so an ordinance may say you need to do this to your properties, especially if you have more than one. And if the money that they set aside to take care of their properties doesn't cover all of that, then it kind of puts the financial stress on the landlord then. So on one hand, it's good because we need to have an above board and a uniform requirement, a benchmark for all landlords to make sure that their property is in proper condition. But at the same time, it's almost like minimum wage. If you set something too high, it could cause some people to lose their properties because they aren't able to maintain. So I see both sides. So, but I'm more for the pro.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. Good evening, Mrs. Thomas.
Good evening.
What would you do to help the residents rejuvenate the usage of McIntosh Park?
McIntosh
Park.
Park. Rejuvenate. Me personally, one of the things that I mentioned before was collaboration. And so what I would end up doing is I would get the citizens involved, find out what it is that they'd like to do, what vision they have for the park, what they think should be involved in it, you know, what they would like to see, especially the people around McIntosh Park. And then, well, if this is what you want, would you be willing to help us out? And because I believe in collaboration, I believe that the people who are mostly affected will probably be the ones who are more involved. So as long as the ordinances are okay, as long as, you know, everything is okay as far as council is concerned, then I strongly believe in getting the actual citizens involved in rejuvenating. So whether it's clearing out brush, whether it's kind of like what Victory Park did when they put the swing set and everything in. I just believe in collaboration. So it's more or less, I would like the citizens to be more involved in it.
Thank you.
What will you do to bring the city council together?
Everything possible. I'm just being honest. I do believe in unity. I do believe in collaboration. I believe that when a body comes together to govern a city, that it has to be done in unity. And so I believe in what I call research-based decision-making. Whenever there's a decision that needs to be made, you properly research it. And after you research it, then you listen. I believe in active listening to other people to gain understanding, because some wise person once said it's better to first seek to understand than to be understood. And so I would seek to understand everyone's point of view. And then I would seek to help them see mine. And then I would look for collaboration. I would look where there could be a happy medium, where we can have a joining of the ideas. I believe that most disputes come from misunderstandings. And so I believe that in order for everyone to come together in unity, we first need to understand each other, find out where we are, why we believe what we believe, and then find out what the common ground is. And then start off from the common ground and work from there. So instead of coming from opposing ends, I believe if we find the common ground first, then we can move forward and to come together, because we're actually here to serve the people. That's what, well, I'm not elected, but that's what the council is. It's a body of government for the city that's elected by the people to do what's good for the people and for the city. And so I believe that the first thing would be to find the common ground and then work from there to solve whatever problem presents itself. Thank you.
Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you. So I've been out in the community listening to communication between Precinct 1 and the Housing Commission. So my question is, what are your plans to help the residents with the broken communication with Housing Commission and to help them enforce their right to be treated fairly if they should express concerns with their council person?
Okay. If elected, if voted in, I should say. I've already had some plans to take care of that. And one of the things was to have Precinct 1 City meetings or Precinct 1 town hall meetings, so that I can find out exactly what the heart of the people is, how they feel, what issues they have disagreements with, where they're feeling they're not heard and why. And then I would definitely work with them to address those issues and continue to have city town hall meetings. And I would also set up, and this sounds kind of weird, but a precinct Facebook page, simply because a lot of times people don't feel that they're being treated like they count because they don't receive information. And so one of the things that, if voted in, I would do is to set up a Precinct 1 Facebook page where people can go out, put their ideas, put whatever problems they're having. If they're disgruntled, name that and name why. And that way they can communicate to me, I can communicate back to them, but then they would also be able to get in touch with me directly or through City Hall, just various resources. So mainly a Precinct 1 Facebook page, and also regular, and I'm not just saying one, but regular Precinct 1 town hall meetings. And of course, making myself available.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. My question is, what have you already done for Precinct 1, and what will you do in the next 12 months to build your vision for Precinct 1?
Okay. What I have already done for Precinct 1, nothing directly, just being honest. I just moved into Precinct 1 for a year. What I have done, well, actually, I take that back. Since moving into my home in Precinct 1, I have worked on my property to make it better, to make the neighborhood look better. So extensive work on the property to improve the value. I've taken walks through Precinct 1. I've driven through Precinct 1. I've taken notice of areas that need attention, and I've actually made some plans on how I could remedy some of the negative situations in Precinct 1. For instance, one of the things that I had planned on doing if voted in, I don't know if you've ever heard of Paint the Town, but I came up with Paint the Precinct. And it's basically where I would incorporate volunteers, hopefully within Precinct 1, to pick out certain houses, each year, low income, that need to be painted or fixed up on the outside, that maybe have elderly citizens who own the property, or maybe single moms who can't do anything to actually make their property look better. And I would basically get a group of volunteers to at least once a year choose 1 or 2 houses that we would actually go in and paint. If you say, where's the paint coming from? Well, I'm good for that too, because there are local businesses who like tax exemptions, and they would love to donate either finances or paint if they know what it's going for. And that way it doesn't actually come out of the city budget, but it's actually improving the city as a whole. And not only paint the precinct, I had another idea, because I looked at some of the yards while I was driving through Precinct 1, and there is some yard waste that needs to be removed. There is some things that need to be done. And so I'm all for volunteerism, so I would like to get a group of volunteers to do spring cleanups, to help elderlies, to help disabled, to help some citizens who aren't able to do it on their own, to actually get their yards cleaned up. And that way Precinct 1 can start looking better. So I already got plans.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does any council member need to ask for clarification on any answer? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Ms. Clark. Councilmember Reed.
My question is, how are you?
I'm doing good. Well, I'm kind of edgy right now. My dad wasn't too well, so I have to say that first. So I'm going to leave right after this because I need to go check on him. So, okay.
My question is, what makes being an Albion City Council person something that you wish to do?
So I've never seen myself as a political person, honestly, but I've always been in different types of jobs where I was a spokesman or an advocate or someone that was starting or beginning a new process since I've been working and being in the Battle Creek area. And in that area, I've been in a lot of different sectors where I saw how they handled their city and the money that they had and how they utilized it. And I always question in the back of my mind, well, why isn't our county getting a lot of what Battle Creek gets in that area? And when this opportunity came up, I thought, since I know more of that side and how some of the funding that comes through the city that we never hear about, and that's being represented on that side. And I thought, well, this would be a good opportunity because I know of these things to be able to bring that into our city and us benefit from some of the things that we could benefit because we don't know about them.
I have the second question. Attorney Harkness, could you please explain rental certification briefly?
Sure. So there's a program that's being considered by the city called rental registration. Basically, the rental properties in the city under this program would be required to register with the city. Mm-hmm. They'd be subject to annual or biannual inspections. They would have to pay a fee for those inspections. Mm-hmm. And then as part of those inspections, they'd be required to meet certain criteria or standards in order to be certified as a rental property in the city.
Thank you. So my question, Ms. Clark, please discuss the pros and cons of rental certification as it relates to Albion.
Okay. So I'm a inspector for Battle Creek for rental properties and for private landlords as well as some of the commercial areas. And some of the pros that I see in Albion that would help is it would maintain properties where they would keep them up to a standard and help people understand what a property should look like when somebody moves into it. And their taxes they have to be kept up because in Battle Creek, there's certain kind of fundings and stuff that's available that cannot be given to landlords or assisted with landlords if they don't keep the properties up to a certain code or standard. And we have a landlord board that is a part of this committee, and that's off-swung from that. So it helps landlords to recognize that it's not something that they're trying to beat them down with or trying to destroy them or take their monies, but it's more for the property of the people that are the tenants. The upside of that is once they get involved in that, then the tenants also are being monitored at a different level. From the committee that we have, they help tenants to understand, no, you just can't go into somebody's house and tear it up and not pay rent and things like that. And this is also being monitored through the court system when people are being evicted. This whole system is working to betterize the whole community, to get a better relationship with tenants as well as with landlords, and the court system's a part of it. So the up part of it is it helps people to realize that it can keep your properties at value, and the other side of it is for the tenants, then they know that when they move into a place, they don't have to worry about infestation of mice or other type of insects that would be in there, or that their lights and their gas are hooked up correctly into the unit, and it's not hobbled in some type of way just for them to move in.
Thank you.
Councilmember Spicer.
Good evening, Mrs. Clark. What would you do to help the residents rejuvenate the usage of McIntosh Park?
So, I remember McIntosh Park as a child. My dad played baseball there. And there was like a minor league that used to be in Albion when I was a child. And I also worked with Tillman Cornelius for a lot of years. And, just bringing the culture of what it used to be and how it used to be ran back to the young people of this community, getting them involved and having some type of activities there, maybe outings or picnics, just to understand that this place had a heritage. It just wasn't a place where people just go park and sit and hang out. There was things that was done in this park, people that represented a high value and quality and standard in the city. And, I think that's a lot what's missing. A lot of the young people don't see what Albion used to be and how it used to run, and how everybody came together as a community and made it strong. So I would want to do some things with the community and bring them in, possibly get some grant writers available that could help us bring some more money in and put some additional items out there for the children to play, and put some more sports activities out there year round, and see and build from there.
Councilmember Williamson.
So what will you do to bring city council together?
So I am a very quiet person to the point that I listen. I'm only child. So, when you're only child, you cannot be vocal as much as other people because you don't have anybody to argue with. So I'm a good listener, and I pay attention to detail, and I can balance both sides easily because I had to understand the process of these are rules, these are regulations, these are things that have to be done, this is how it has to be done, this is the standard, and this is what is expected. And although I didn't disagree, I did have a voice in my household, and even now in my jobs, I have a voice that once I hear details and I understand what's going on and what needs to happen, I try to ask the right questions when I'm not clear, and gather the information from there, and then make a decisive answer and support as much as I possibly can, because I believe in being an advocate and helping situations. If you can't, I guess it goes like this: if you can't say something to help build, then why try to destroy it? So I try to look at things on both sides to see, okay, so maybe I don't agree with this, but let's see what can work out so we can build and make it stronger.
Councilmember Lawler.
Okay, so I've been out in the community listening to the residents in Precinct 1. So my question is, what are your plans to help the residents with the broken communication with Housing Commission, and to help them enforce their right to be treated fairly if they should express their concern with their council person?
So you're asking if somebody is staying in a residence, correct, and they feel like the decision or whatever was not handled in the proper manner, correct?
Yes. And they come to you and ask you,
Okay.
to help them have a voice.
Okay. So usually I would listen to that story because I do work in this area a lot. I listen to both sides. So I'm an advocate for both sides. I have grant funding that I help people with currently right now. and they move into people's apartments. And I support the landlord as well as I support the tenant. So if someone, usually people come to me and they have gripes and they tell me what's going on and what's wrong, and they're not, and I'm not paying my rent because of this reason, or they put me out because of that reason. I listen to what they say carefully, and if they're wrong, I don't support their wrong. I gingerly tell them why they're wrong, and then I try to tell them how to correct it. If they're in the right, then I go to the housing manager or commission and speak to them about what I've learned and find out what happened and where the breakdown was. And I usually try to advocate for both of them to come to a meeting or a middle ground to fix that. And if I can't, then I go back to the person and say, well, I couldn't fix this, and this is why. I don't like to leave people hanging and not know why, if they have a real concern. They might not like the answer, because you can't all the time make people happy. But telling them the truth and why it happened is the most important part on either side.
Thank you.
How you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay.
My question is, what have you already done for Precinct 1, and what will you do in the next 12 months to build your vision for Precinct 1?
So I used to own some property in Precinct 1 at one time, and I was a landlord myself, and I tried to keep up things in the area and keep things looking nice. Now, what I see in Precinct 1 is it's not the neighborhood that it used to be. It's not as flourishing as it used to be. And I have been working behind the scenes in Battle Creek trying to get this funding in our area. And what I mean by that, there's some funding that's available where people are given free paint to paint their homes just to make them look better on the outside. And they can get labor at their cost, but at a low cost. But all the materials, paintbrushes, paint, and everything else is made available for them, and to make the neighborhood look better. That's one of the things that's always been in the back of my mind, and I've been trying to work that to figure out how we can get that here, because I would like to see some of our neighborhoods in Precinct 1 look different from what they look now, and improve the atmosphere, because I believe if you improve something and make something look better, it brings value to it, and it makes other people value what you've done and treat the property a little different than what they have been doing. And, like keeping the grass cut, even if it's a neighbor's yard and nobody's living there anymore, it's still your neighborhood. It's still a reflection on your neighborhood. And see if we can bring some of those type of values into the city, into the area.
Does any council member need or want to ask for clarification on any answer? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's fine. No issue. Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Persons addressing the City Council shall limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes. Proper decorum is required, and I'd ask that everybody present show respect and consideration for those that are speaking, and give them your attention that they deserve. So if we have anyone that wishes to make a public comment, if not, we'll go to the city manager's report, but I think it's on here, but there won't be a city manager's report for this session. we'll provide each council member an opportunity to make comments if they wish on the agenda that we just went through this evening. Is any council member Brown?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank each and every candidate tonight. It's going to be difficult. You all did an exceptional job, and I just thank you for your interest in serving your community, your desire to represent Precinct 1. So thank you.
Any other council member wish to make a comment? If not, I'll make one short comment. I will echo what Councilmember Brown said. We very much appreciate the candidates for showing up and being so articulate and prepared. Appreciate that very much. If I can have a motion to adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor of adjourning this study session, say yes.
Yes.
Those in favor say no. Okay. We are adjourned.